This is Eric McCoy, and we are back. This is new episode, again, of High Wall Clean. We've been sort of disconnected a little bit as I've been working on the radio show and doing our other podcast, Walk a Mile in My Shoes. Now, as we start on this, I want to say that highness, as we talk about, has been my lifetime pursuit, which just happens to be, again, what this podcast is about. And yes, we are high while clean, which may not make sense to everybody. But remember that highness isn't a property of drugs. Highness is a property of people. So everything that I need to get high, I possess. It's all within me. And so I did a recent radio show, and I had Ed Squire, who was on our show. Ed, how you doing? And I'm going to introduce you real quick. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here and grateful to be here as well.
Yeah. And so when we did that radio show, I obviously got thinking a lot about, what you do and what your ideas are. And I love the laughter part. When I work with clientele in the substance abuse field, one of the things that I'll talk about is laughter and all the therapeutic benefits behind laughter. Norman Cousins, if you know the story behind Norman Cousins. Norman Cousins was a individual. He was actually a writer for the Chicago Tribune, I think it was. And he was diagnosed with a terminal illness. And he decided, with the assistance of his doctors, he checked out of the hospital, checked into a hotel room. And the doctors gave him injections of vitamin C. And so he watched Marx Brothers movies and Candid Camera. And he made himself laugh so hard, and he made sure that he laughed so hard that his stomach hurt. And he actually overcame the illness. They actually went back, did tests, and it was gone.
Are you talking about a movie, a show?
No, I'm talking about a person.
Yeah, or are you talking about his life?
His life.
I never heard that.
As for laughter, this is something that was not beyond my means. And at night, we showed some of the funniest films that we could rent. And I made the very interesting discovery that 10 minutes of good belly laughter would give me 2 hours of pain-free sleep. And I got rid of the painkillers, the codeine, the sleeping pills. They were giving me 36 aspirin a day. And I got rid of that and went with the things that I believed in. And as I say, I discovered that that laughter did produce an actual body anesthesia. It was a very exhilarating discovery.
Yeah, Norman Cousins. Check him out. He wrote a book, and he was really the one, I think, that termed that idea of laughter is the best medicine.
That can be something in our own lives we can do, which I believe, and I'm actually going to do that right now. Because if I don't plug in my laptop, which for this episode, it's about to die. So hang on while I go and grab my plug-in for my laptop. We got to keep it real here.
And so as we can see, we have an empty chair. Oh, there he is.
There we go.
So no, I was saying, with laughter, I haven't personally done studies, but, I would love to say that I have. But I mean, I do know, and I had personal, experience with laughter, is that obviously it does raise our mood. It does help us feel better.
Because you know what I'm all about, right? My Visible Kindness podcast and everything I do in my life has to do with kindness to myself and kindness to others, because it makes such a big difference in our lives.
I want to say that I loved the, when we were on the show and even afterwards and after the show, and we were talking about certain things that potentially we could do. Now you're working on, how's your documentary going?
Oh, it is. It's going to surprise people. Let's put it that way. I think because many people are familiar with Me Too What Now, which is a nonprofit that I started that is about adults that have survived from childhood trauma. And, so many people know that about me. And, the documentary about my life, that's a small part of it. Mm-hmm. And so what my life turned out to be like is a lot of the documentary. So it's going to be powerful and surprising. And it's going to change lives. It's going to change my life too.
Yeah. Go ahead and explain real quick, what your trauma was as a child.
Yeah, so I was sexually abused from age 4 until I was 10. And what's just so wild about it is that my grandfather, who's actually my step grandfather, when he first started, he actually abused my dad as well.
Hmm.
And I'll never forget my dad saying to me, in my teens, he said that whatever happened to me, like whatever happened to you, Ed, it was much worse that happened to me.
Hmm.
And I know that's to be true.
Your grandfather abused your father, is what you said, right?
Right. My father and my father's also has brothers and sisters,
Wow.
and he abused everyone, including his sister.
Why would your dad allow his father to even be around you?
And my mother as well, okay, because they were married. My dad, he passed away about 7 or 8 years ago, which doesn't make the question any different. But I'm grateful that I've talked to my mom a lot about this. So to do my documentary, I've talked to my mom about everything that's going to be on it, because I don't want her to be surprised.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even have that conversation with her if she wasn't able to. And she's just in a wonderful place. She's a very, very good woman. I can't wait to see her at Christmas time, to be honest with you. It's going to be great. Mm-hmm. And so it's a powerful, powerful story. But I have had, I asked her, how did you and Dad let Granddad babysit my sister and I when we were so young? Because he had done that to Dad. Yeah. And the answer was, and I understand this, not everybody's going to, and it's okay, is that back then, it was a different time. So my grandfather had not abused anyone for decades, since my dad was a young boy. So they just assumed
that he wasn't going to, that you know of.
Yes, that we know of. They assumed he wasn't going to do it. He's not going to do it to me. That's not going to happen. So whenever my grandmother, who's wonderful, it's a whole nother story, because she lived with him, and it was not a wonderful marriage, because he used to beat her up. Yeah. So it's such a dirty, horrible story. It really is. And obviously we can't go over this in the entire podcast here, and I'm not ashamed of talking about it, but it's lengthy. Mm-hmm. But to keep it short, my parents thought at that stage in my grandfather's life that he wouldn't do that, because he was always with my grandmother, babysitting my sister and I. They did not even imagine that he would do something like that. How could that be possible? And so he started doing that when I was put in for an afternoon nap. When you're 4 years old, you have a nap in the afternoon, right? And so that's when he would come in and begin to molest me. Mm. And so that went from age 3 until 7. But the thing is, when you're that young, you don't know, you don't feel like you're being abused. It's hard for people to understand. You don't feel like that because you don't know.
Right.
You don't understand
what's normal and what's
that's right.
And what, yeah.
You don't know. You think you're being cared for. Mm-hmm. And so that went on from age 3 until about age 7. And then he got found. I'll put it in my documentary. He got found out. And then what ended up happening was our neighbor at that time, then he started to abuse me. And he was the son of one of my dad's best friends. So nobody expected this to happen. They didn't expect this to happen. Mm-hmm. And then after that, when I was in not high school, but when I was in elementary school, it was the elementary school teacher that sexually abused myself and many, 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 many boys, many boys. And I ended up suing him and the school board back in, I think it was 2016 or 17 or something like that.
The teacher is still teaching there?
No, he passed away as well, actually, just about a year ago. But it's a powerful story. All of this together. So what ended up happening was one of the boys that he had abused was a very good friend of mine who ended up committing suicide when he was 25. So the how it affects people in life later happens. So as adults, we do our best to. I thought I was okay. And I thought I was okay. Later in life, I thought I was okay. Right. But you're not okay. You're not okay.
Yeah. And a lot of times with people is you suppress it too. I mean, obviously the whole theory of Sigmund Freud and stuff, and one of his, defense
Yes.
mechanisms, he talks about suppression, and so where
Yes.
people even push it down, they push it out of their minds. It didn't happen. We forget about it. And I like what you said too, in regards to not really understanding that it being wrong. I have a story of with my uncle. I was 16, I think, or 17 or something, and went over to his house, and they called this kind of grooming sort of thing. But, I went over to his house, and he started talking about orgies and cocaine, and he's pulling out cocaine and
Right.
showing video or photos to me of these orgies and stuff that he's in. And of course, at that age, I'm thinking like, well, that's just kind of weird, whatever, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you.
yeah, and it kind of like it made me uncomfortable because I wonder, like with me, if I've suppressed, I don't remember specifically like
Hmm.
anything like that happening, but um, but I always feel like there's got to be something there.
And that's why I decided to do the documentary because I do so much filming and I love filming. And I have filmed so much over the years, and I write and I journal. And when you do that for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, you write down things and film things that you would never remember
Mm-hmm.
doing. So
Yeah,
it's powerful things.
yeah,
But what's incredible is when I started doing this, like with Me Too, What Now, it was originally for adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse. But I had so many adults contact me that said to me, "Hey, I was never sexually abused, but I was physically abused, I was psychologically abused, emotionally abused, or I was adopted, or something at a young age happened to them that affected them as an adult." And so they would call me or reach out to me by email or DM me, and I would end up talking on the phone with them. And they would ask me if we could talk, if I could help them.
mm-hmm.
Uh, and so I changed the organization from helping adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse to adult survivors of childhood trauma, period.
Yeah,
Because the trauma you get, whether it was, sexual or physical or psychological, we all end up having, you know, challenges and problems when we grow older, and we don't talk about it. We live with it. We think we're okay. We find out we're not. What do we do? We're addicted to this, or we go through marriage after marriage after marriage. There's our lives can be very, very hard,
mm-hmm.
and it's nice to be able to talk. So that's what I ended up doing,
Yeah.
and that's what I still do, and that's one of the reasons why I'm creating that documentary, is to still for people to see and hear me talk about things that I, in the past, never would have talked about. But I'm in a strong place now. I've recovered. Um, am I 100%? I don't know. I don't think that's ever possible. I think it's like if you've ever broken your leg and
Yeah.
you recover from it, it's a broken leg that has been healed, but it's still there.
Yeah. I always use that idea of transforming our past.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So we don't, it's not that, you're ever able to eliminate your past. Everything you've been through. Everything you've experienced. But one thing that we can learn to do is transform it. So we create new meanings out of it, which is what you've done.
Right. Yes.
I mean, you've taken something that was painful, horrible, should never have happened.
Yeah.
But you've taken that and you've turned it into something now that becomes valuable for you. And the value that you have is what you can give to other people, I think.
Yeah. And what's interesting about our lives is that I moved into several different career paths where at one point I was a high-end consultant for Fortune 500 companies in the United States, Canada, and Europe. And when I say that, I don't mean I was like just, hey, I just work with these companies, but I used to work with the CIOs and CEOs of Boeing Corporation, Wells Fargo, SunTrust, which is the largest regional bank in the U.S., Pepsi-Cola at the high level. And I did well. I thought, good. But what ended up happening was I ended up losing my mind and having mental health problems.
Did you ever feel like you were a fake?
Yes. How did I get there? Right. Like, and I was making, so here's what ended up happening. I made a lot of money. I like to be able to tell people when they say, "Oh, what do you do?" And I would answer with humility and not with bragging, but I say I'm a consultant. I consult for Fortune 500 companies, and I'm working in the U.S., Canada, and Europe. It's great. And so I stay humble. I say it nicely, but inside, I'm thinking, yes, yes. Listen to what I'm saying. Do you see who you're talking to? I wanted to be, now there's so many, I have so many friends, even like yourself now, right? Who are doing what they do because they love what they're doing and they're good at what they do. They don't do it because they want, that's their identity, right? Because if you lose your job or lose your money or if you lose your identity, if that's what your identity is, then it's not a good thing. And I wanted people to believe that I was good, smart, successful, made a lot of money. And I wanted my dad to also look at me and go, good for you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And that never happened from my dad. That's why I did what I did. So it's interesting. And I think when people hear this story, when it comes out, I want it to reach people. It's not about my, it's certainly not about, me being popular. Who wants to be popular doing a documentary on themselves when it's like that?
I can now take my life and I can turn it around, and then I can hand my experience to other people, and that's where there's really only value in it today.
Yes.
And I think that's powerful.
It is. It is. And when you think of, and people like Robin Williams as well, who committed suicide. Yeah. And he suffered from depression for many, many years. And so much of our stories, it's more than just the sexual abuse that I had. It was mental health issues that dragged with me throughout my entire life, even until today. It's a reality. I have mental health issues that are part of my life, and it's okay. It doesn't bother me. It's just the way it is. The reason why my podcast is called Visible Kindness is because I didn't do it because I was like, hey, that's a great idea. That's not why I did it. I did it because I had to learn how to like myself. I had to, because I was suicidal and how do you get rid of that? You need to really love yourself. You do. You need to be kind to yourself. How do you do that? So I had to learn how to be kind to myself. I learned to be kind to other people, but you still need to be kind to yourself. So now that I'm kind to me,
you are not good. You've got nothing to give. That's right. Always saying, until you can love somebody else, you got to love yourself first.
That's right.
Otherwise, you've got nothing to give.
That's absolutely right.
I like what you're saying.
So what happens now is the thing that I look forward to every single day is being kind to myself and being kind to other people. And no matter what I'm going through, because we all go through good days and bad days. Literally today, I was working on the documentary. It takes a lot of thought. It takes a lot of energy. And I was in a public place where there's all these tables, and this guy come up to me. He just taps me on my back. He goes, "Are you okay?" I don't even know. He's this total stranger, right? He goes, "You look like you need to relax," is what he said, right? And so at that very moment, I stopped what I was doing, and I looked at him and I said, "You're right." I said, "You are absolutely right. I did this. I said, "You are absolutely right." I said, I am. So we had a nice conversation, and I met him. And he asked what I do, what I'm doing. I met him, and it was and I thanked him, for even though you don't know, this is the thing that really drives me, is being kind to others and kind to myself, and just very, very simple things. It doesn't even have to be even when you're having a hard day, it's okay, but you still need to be kind to yourself and kind to others in the midst of it. And when you're kind to other people, if you've ever watched my YouTube, not YouTube, but like on Facebook Reels and on TikTok, I don't even care about that stuff. But I love just being kind to people. Like I would just do the same thing. I would look at someone and say, "How's your day going? Are you okay? Like, are you okay today?" Yeah. And people are like, I would get like, "Well, I'm not sure, and I haven't really thought about that." Right? And so they just click, right? And they love to connect with you, and to hear someone being kind to them, and you don't even know them. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. Hey, I was thinking more on, if, like in my life too, and doing a documentary, and I was, considering, we were talking about that before. And I think one of the cool things that, could be brought to it is some of the people that were in my life during that period of time when my full addiction was in, and some of the people that were actually using with me, because I know some of those people and they're actually clean today, and it would be kind of cool,
Yeah, that's this. It's really nice meeting people like yourself who understand that have had the same journey, a very similar journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, to be real honest with you and other people, I don't regret my life, because you can't regret, because you can't change it. You can't.
No.
So you have to fight. So I'm thankful, and I think I might have mentioned this to you before, is that I've been very high on emotions, because when I was making money and I was a top consultant, Fortune 500 companies, lived in the United States, Canada, Europe, and I mean, it was incredible. It was really an amazing thing that I did. For me, I never would have had that happen. And then losing everything and actually being at a suicidal place. So I've been at the top and I've been at the bottom, at the very bottom. Yeah. And so now when you've experienced all those things and you find a healthy place to be in, I don't know, I think it makes life more, I don't know, I could care less if I'm rich or if I'm broke compared to the way I used to be. I could care less if I have a fancy job or not. Those are the things that don't matter anymore. But people that have never really experienced these things, and they're good people, but they've never experienced such tremendous emotional or mental health issues. And then they've only been here and here, but never here and here, which is, if you don't have a choice, that's where you are, where your experiences have been. Yeah. And so you don't know what it's like to really love and care for people that I may love and care for. Maybe they do, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's just, you experience life differently, and I'm grateful for it.
I don't know how much you know about my story at all. But I had a lot of years of using, obviously, drugs, and in 2001, I got arrested 4 times in 6 months, looking at 15 years in prison. And so my sobriety date at that time was the last arrest was January 3rd of 2002. Right. And so I didn't get 15 years, thank God, but I did do, a bit of jail time, 6 months in a treatment program that I had to do. I was on probation for 3 years, I had to, other things. And so, and then I stayed clean and sober. Right. I went to school, became a counselor. I got into the field of substance abuse. I was a clinical program director. I'd been clinical director. I've been, executive director. I owned a program, all this stuff. And in 2013, I relapsed. I had integrity. I had values. I had morals. I'd give you the shirt off my back. I'd help you in any way I could, until I took the hit off that pipe, right? Meth being my drug of choice. And then right at that moment, I don't give a fuck about you. I will rob from you. I will steal from you. None of that matters, And I call that, like in my book, I talk about it like the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, scenario. And to me, and I like what you were saying too. It's like, I can't change my past, right? I can't change what I've done. In my substance abuse, I do some fucked up shit. You know what I mean? I really do. And a lot of it is very criminally based activities, and so, but like when I'm clean and sober, that's not me.
Oh man, I relate.
One of the things that people used to say all the time is that if you go back and use after staying clean and sober, it's like you never stopped, right? I can honestly say absolutely true. Personal experience, it was like, I went instantaneously back to where I was in 2001 after having 11 years clean and sober.
I agree.
Crazy.
It is. And that's why, because I always thought before I hit the bottom to understand what I was going through, I could never understand why, if somebody was like, for example, an alcoholic, and they become, they go to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And they always introduce themselves as an alcoholic. I'm like, well, why would you do that if you're you haven't had a drink for 25 years and you're calling yourself a recovered alcoholic, because they know one drink brings back on the mindset and the way you thought and the emotions, and then the habit of drinking. And so it doesn't matter if it's alcohol, sex, drugs, whatever it is that you're using for your addiction can change your life.
Yep.
That's why I relate to you.
Yeah.
I stay away from a lot of things that a lot of other people can do and it doesn't bother them, but it does me.
Yeah.
It bothers me.
Yeah, things that give you that altered state of consciousness in a sense, I mean, that was always my pursuit in life, it was like, I just wanted, I would probably say like my dominant need in life was just to feel good. I mean, that was probably what my dominant need was. I just wanted to feel good in life. As a kid, I was awkward, I was uncomfortable.
And it was this like you as a normal kid? This is before anything bad happened.
Yeah. And I just never felt like I connected with people. And I remember that first time I took a drink. And so I took a bottle of vodka from a whole thing of vodka from my parents' house and went to my school, and across the street from my school, it was a Christian school was where I went. My parents had me in a Christian high school. And so I go across the street and I didn't really know, so I took like a glass and I poured a bunch in it, and I just pounded it. Right. And of course, I didn't feel anything at first, so I did it again, pounded it. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, man, I felt like, wow, this is freaking amazing. All of a sudden, like I see a brighter light, and until I realized that you shouldn't drink that much. I go to school. We went to school. And because it's a Christian class, at the first, your first class, they pray, right? So you do, they do a prayer. Well, my prayer was very different.
Yes.
Because I was like, dear Lord, please, if you save me, I'll be good. And because I felt so sick, horribly sick, and I guess I turned white. And like right after the prayer too, the teacher goes, "Are you okay?" And I ran out and threw up, and they sent me home. And
well, I didn't know this. I can relate to some of it for sure. It's so interesting. It's so interesting too when we're different people. I'm from northern Canada, grew up on a lake, and it was like nothing. Where you grew up is different. Where movie stars, band, famous band members and people are all different. And I'm so sad when people have that as a part of their lifestyle and can't get it out. Is really, I think, what I'm saying. It doesn't matter where you're from or who you are or what you do.
Right.
And
it's
when you
everywhere.
become really good at making yourself look okay and whatever, that's how I was for many years. Look fine. Very successful. But if you saw the background, not only in my life, but all these other people's lives, and even Robin Williams, there's stuff going on.
Yeah. Yeah, you always think like, somebody like Robin Williams, who's always tries to make people laugh, right? Other people laugh. That kind of goes back to your whole statement where you were saying it's, like I can work so hard to make other people feel good, but there's a codependency nature to it, to where I'm so focused on other people that I lose focus on myself.
Yeah, well, that's what you did. That's what we do. We don't look after ourselves, and it becomes. I think in a lot of times it becomes. I didn't think I was that bad. I didn't think I was that bad. Maybe we all have issues, whatever. But when I look at what I'm creating in my documentary, I'm like, unbelievable. It's unbelievable what I was up to, that I thought was, everybody has, not perfect. But when I look, I'm like, I would never, I pray to God that I would ever live the way I used to anymore, and just be a pure human being. And when I say pure, I mean just the way I am right now is the same as I am. I'm the same person. We behave differently when we're on a podcast or on a show or on a radio or whatever we're doing. But it's you are who you are. But back then it was like, if I needed people to think I was a Christian, I acted like a Christian. I want people to think that I was, hey, you want to go to the strip club? No problem. Let's go to the strip club. Hey, all these different personalities that I had. Incredible. Incredible. And you think you're okay.
Yeah. Like what you see here is me. This is me. Love me or hate me, you know?
It's so wonderful. Yeah, and I mean, I totally sense that from you. I totally get it, you know, and I love it.
When I got clean in 2002, eventually, I was in custody. And so I'm in custody trying to figure out who I am, you know? My emotions are just freaking off the hook, because I go from on meth, like feeling nothing, to getting off meth and I feel everything.
I've seen a lot of movies like that. And I've been on drugs, did drugs, not like that.
Yeah.
Not like that. Incredible.
I got up to like slamming over an 8-ball a day, just looking like hell. I was 130 pounds in 2002 when I went to custody. I was 130 pounds. I'm 6'3".
But I'm thinking, when you're talking about your story, I'm thinking, wow, we should do your documentary, not mine. Because mine is not nearly as heavy duty as yours. I'm just so glad that so many drugs that are out there now weren't out when we were kids.
Oh, I'd be dead. You know?
Well, I mean, that is what's impacting our society today, is there's so many people that are addicted to it and living on the streets. It's so sad.
You know, I look at with so many of our young people, you know, suicide, substance abuse. With somebody today, and we were talking about our vets and the amount of suicide with our vets, substance abuse. We're in an emotional turmoil country, like, I mean, the world, in a sense, you know.
Yeah,
everybody's just fucked up.
I'm glad I'm here today on this conversation with you to help me and inspire me with what I want to do in my show, because documentary, because I'm writing I'm writing the script for it, the story for it. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be just talking about my story. I want it to be just a well done documentary. Yeah. And so with you having put out your book and doing what you do, I'm kind of at the beginning of all those stages, really. I mean, it's nice having Me Too What Now is good and all that. I overcame a lot and it's all been good, but and talking about the childhood sexual abuse that happened in my life, I'm very comfortable with that conversation, but not comfortable talking about the 4 decades of my life that happened because I was sexually abused.
So after the sexual abuse, people
are like, good for you that, the people that think, they're just very kind to me and nice, but I often think, well, what if you actually knew my entire story?
Yeah, the things that I've done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's easy to say, okay, this was the trauma that I experienced from somebody else. These people did this to me, right? But then when you get to the story of like, well, this is what happened as a result of this, that is more uncomfortable.
Yep, it is.
Now I'm talking about myself, but there's definitely stories that I did leave out of it because of uncomfortability.
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that.
But that's the way it is that like, not everybody does not have to know everything about your life.
No. At
some point in time, maybe some of the stuff does become value. Like I was saying that, with my friend Bob Forrest, it's like the only value of my life is when I'm able to share it with other people. So if you're not able to share it with other people, then it doesn't have any value at this point. Now, if you wanted to at some point in time have value, then that's where you'd share it with other people.
To speak at events and talk about your purpose, your passion, and your identity.
Yeah.
So instead of just making money or pursuing whatever it is you're doing, we all have a purpose in life. We have a purpose.
Yeah.
And why not find out what your purpose is? Pour your passion into that with who you are. And I think a lot of that is with social media, the way it is today. A lot of people pursue things because money's there, popularity is there, success is there. Mm-hmm. But it may not be what makes them happy. B, they may not be successful at it.
Mm-hmm.
see, and it may not be their identity. So back off a bit and get established with knowing who you are, what your passion is. And that's what I've had. It's taken me decades in my life to get there, because I've made lots of money. I've made $1 million. I've done amazing things. And even when I got close to, even recently, I built a wonderful class where I taught people how to be strategic with their business and how to use videos to market what they do, because I'm good at that. Mm-hmm. But it at the end of the day, for me, I really want to make an impact in people's lives, and I like speaking, and I love having found who I am. And I know I run into people all the time who are not comfortable with who they are yet.
Let me ask you this question: who are you?
I love life, and I love people, and I love kindness. I love making an impact, and I love serving people.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is a 1 year. It's a 1 year anniversary of when I went to San Diego to help a woman who has ALS. And I filmed a ton of her story to make a documentary out of that. Her documentary is going to be very, very, it's going to be incredible. So I love serving people. That's what I love to do.
Yeah. I did a chapter on there called Who Am I? I wrote, who am I? I'm determined to make a difference, and I'm speaking out against the atrocities in this industry. Talking about the substances. Who am I? I'm the person that will speak for those who have no voice anymore. I demand that we have experts working in the industry instead of degrees. Who am I? I'm a survivor, which is defined as someone who lives after going through something where many people have died. All individuals who have survived the near-death experiences of chemical abuse are survivors. This survivor quality carries many traits that we own and can utilize if we choose, that can help define us. Surviving that lifestyle requires creativity and improvisation that can help you become a great leader. When I'm myself, I'm genuine, caring, loving, in control, and passionate without any worries about what other people think about me. Reliable, honest, and respectful, and I'll go the extra mile to help others and myself. All the qualities that I look for in people are naturally important to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't seek that in others. I choose to only associate with individuals who respect me, are happy, and have a purpose that directs them. I respect all values, opinions, beliefs, and perspectives unless they're designed to inflict harm on someone. My values, opinions, beliefs, and perspectives will intertwine with my purpose, adding fire to the happiness that I already experience. I choose to associate with individuals who respect that. As an analytical thinker, I enjoy discussing difficult topics and listening to other ideas without judgment or condemnation, as I'll be able to remain a student. This doesn't mean I'll agree with everything I hear, and many times I don't, but I'm able to gain knowledge through my disagreements. Who am I? I'm empathetic, trustworthy, and caring. I hold strong values of ethics, and I'm disgusted by agendas and personal interests that are killing people. What you see is what you get. I'm real, which says that I'll make mistakes, say nothing behind your back that I wouldn't say to your face, and speak as truthfully as I can based on the information I have. Who am I? This is a trick question, and you'll never come up with a solid, definable answer. It's an exciting question to ask, as it will take you on a journey of exploring, transforming, and engaging in a process that's ongoing. Don't get stuck on the why, but rather on what. What am I passionate about? What are my desires? What do I believe? What am I going to achieve? These are questions that we can answer and eliminate the vagueness and uncertainty of the first question.
I am inspired. This is such good timing for me, because I need to hear all of this from you and our new friendship. As a matter of fact, as I start doing this, because I will, if it's okay with you, just thinking off the top of my head, I need a few people that are different, and some the same, to review what I put out, to see what they think.
Absolutely.
How do you like what I'm doing so far? Right? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I would imagine with your book you'd have to get some. You have people doing that as well.
Yeah.
But I would love to do that. That was powerful.
This is the second book I wrote. Okay. I wrote one in 2005, over 300 pages long, and it wasn't up to my standards, and I just trashed it. Right. And so I write in this saying that I go, if this has been published and you're reading it, then I've handed it over to somebody to look at. right? Because I will beat the hell out of it, and be like, oh, that's not good enough. Oh no, wait a minute. Oh no, I don't like this. Oh no, hold on. All right, let's trash this. Let's start over.
Well, I'm so glad to hear your journey in that. So if you're open to that, I would love to share the documentary when it comes out, because it's going to, I need that. I need feedback, and
absolutely.
It's not going to be perfect when it comes out. I need to get feedback, and like a book, make some adjustments and make the final version.
Yeah. It'll never be perfect,
Not true. Yeah. It would never be perfect. But comments I need to hear for sure.
That's something that we all want to move away from.
Because everybody's going to interpret the story differently, and I understand that too.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's what I want to hear. I want to hear what are people experiencing from the show. Because
remember, the documentary is not for you.
No.
It's for the other people, right?
It's like a movie. Yeah. It's like anything you see. Yeah. Everybody has a different
Some people look at it and go, the fuck, that's crazy. That's stupid,
Other people are going to be.
Other people look at it and go, man, that's awesome. That's amazing. Yes. That's exactly what I needed to hear.
That's absolutely true. And then you have to be, and I have to get, not have to, but my book is going to come out after the documentary comes out as well, because that needs to be there as well. And it's going to be totally different than the documentary, but it's, we need to feel good that we've done that. I think more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you get high today?
I don't by being happy, and being kind. Yeah. I love it. That's how I'm happy.
Yeah. Remember, highness. Highness has nothing to do with drugs or anything. Highness comes from us.
I mean, I am. It is so true. I mean, that's why I tell people, look at my Facebook reels or go to TikTok or something, and it is like I think I told you this last time we talked. I had a woman tell me there was actually I do this all the time, acts of kindness, but this one particular one, I was in a grocery store, and I went through the cash register where the lady was doing it. And I could have gone through the manual one where you do your own, but usually people have a whole bunch of stuff they gotta get the cash register do. If you have a small amount, you go through the manual one, right? Well, I only bought one thing, and I stood in line. The guy in front of me had a great big cart of stuff, and it was like most people shop. And it went through, and I got up there, and I put it on what I was buying. I put it in front of the lady, and I said, "That's all I'm buying." And she goes, "Well, why wouldn't you go over to the manual?" And I said, "Because I like meeting people." I said, I just like meeting people, right? And then she says to me, she goes, "Are you a rock star? Like, are you a rock star?" And that happens to me, I don't know, on average once a year. Someone will ask me if I'm a rock star. Never happened when I didn't have long hair. When I was a corporate guy, I did not look like this.
Yeah.
And so I used to, I answer differently every time somebody asks me. So this time when she said to me, "Are you a rock star?" I said to her, "What band?" Instead of saying no, right? Yeah. I said, "What band?" And she goes, "You look like one of the guys that are from the Monkey Band." Right? And I know the Monkey Band, right? That's from decades ago, right? Yeah. And I looked at her, I said, "No." I said, "I am not a rock star. I am just a regular guy.
Not from the Monkees."
So I made a TikTok about that. I walked out the door, and I said that, and I mean, people loved it. Yeah. And that's what makes my day, is making other people laugh and smile, making her laugh and smile, and being kind to others and serving others. That's my thing.
Yeah. When I do groups, I've done this with clients before, and I go, "Hey, I just want you guys all to know, I'm getting high right now."
Because I'm sure a lot of people would be like,
To me, it was important. I think I always like clients to understand it, because, so many people come in recovery and they're like going, "Oh, life's going to suck. Life's going to be boring. Never going to feel good." But that's not true. We can keep getting high, but we do it clean.
But, this is a big piece. This is a big piece of what comes out of me when I talk to people. And this is the way I think. You do not know how long, you don't know, you have no choice when and where you were born, and you have no choice of when and where you're going to die. You don't. Sorry, you can even say you can kill yourself. Well, there's been a lot of people that have tried to commit suicide and it didn't work.
Right.
You cannot choose that. You may not be alive next week, next month, next year, or even tomorrow. You don't know. So I want to be grateful every single day. You may not wake up. You just don't know. The reality is life is short. Life is short. You know what? I get it. It's a topic I don't like to talk about. But the reality is, if you think about life being short like that, then it's a great reason to think why you need to be happy every day, every moment of every day. Yep. That's what drives me. That's what drives me.
You'll treat today differently.
That's right. And that's why I love being kind to people, because this life is short. It's short no matter what. It's short. And you know what? I am, I am 50. I'm 58. Am I 58 or 59? I don't know. One or the other. Most people think I'm younger than that. Yeah. But there's a lot of people who are dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
At any age, I'm alive. That's a huge thing.
You're a survivor.
Big thing. Everybody that's alive is a survivor. Yeah. Everyone is.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that's my thing.
Yeah. Well, hey, so what kind of inspiration can you give us?
I think a good answer to that would be what I'm beginning to start to do in the direction I want to go, and that is finding your purpose, your passion, and your identity. Because I run into so many people, and I have over the years, where they're not really solid with who they are. And I get it. Mm-hmm. And I get it. But slow down life. It can change at any moment. Never let that leave you. Be kind to those that are around you. Be kind to yourself, and do it every single day. Good, That's more important than money is.
That's good stuff, man. Do you want to let people know how to reach you?
Oh, the best thing, edsquire.com. And that is a website I just launched a few weeks ago. And I did a whole bunch of things now. It's edsquire.com, and it's podcaster, speaker, and about Ed. Yeah. It's very, very interesting. And the Me Too What Now website is a link from there. But there's lots. Yeah, it's a cool website. I love it. I'm happy with what I'm doing, and it's attracting people. So, that's what I'm doing.
You got anything else you want to say that we didn't talk about?
I highly recommend going to my website and looking at the about Ed, because it's very different than what most people put for about them. I don't write anything that's like makes me look good. You know what I'm saying? That promotes me, and it's a little bit of my story there. And it's like, this is the real me. It's about me. Have a look at that, and have a look at the page where it says speaker. And that's where I get into talking about passion, purpose, and identity. What are the benefits of that? And that's what I'm using to advertise myself, in a sense, to be able to go and speak at organizations, whether it's corporate or whether they're organizations that are like master classes or anything where there's motivation that needs to be heard from. That's real. That's very, very real. I think you'll find it interesting. It's quite different.
Yeah. For those of you guys that like our show and what we're doing, please do all those good things of subscribing to our channels, thumbs up, thumbs down if you want. Everything that everybody does today, right? And my website, if you guys are watching this on YouTube or some of the other things, my website is highwallclean.org. You can also check out some of my other shows. We do a radio show on Johnny Rock and Roll Radio. You can go there, johnnyrockandrollradio.org. And also my other show, Walk a Mile in My Shoes. And I want to thank everybody for tuning into this. And as I always like to say, keep getting high, but let's do it clean. We'll see you soon.